For me, a big part of being an athlete is not only the physical training, but also having the knowledge that I prepared properly. Whatever you live for, just live.
It's a real regime almost.
Oh, hell no.
They're talking about me.
All I needed was one ball. The science of training.
And I know you don't think it's a sport.
You know, what did you do different this year or last Olympia? What did you do different that really excelled you so much, you know, from the previous years?
I think just having the level of confidence. You know, like I said, you know, going to a 2020 Arnold and just getting that first call out, it just really boosted my confidence and motivated me to know that I actually belong up there with those guys. So just having that level of confidence and training with a purpose, you know, catapult me into that, you know, that first call out at Olympia. You know.
But as far as the look, I mean, what do you think you were lacking before? Do you think it was a condition? A lot of people say that, you know, the condition is always the key, you know, for the big guys like you, because you're a really big guy. You know what I'm saying? What was the weight that you were at Olympia this year?
I think it was a combination of, you know, better conditioning and also presentation. You know, if you look at the videos, especially for pre-gen for the Olympia, I was one of the guys that was getting into the poses first and I basically getting out of the poses last. So I was holding everything, you know, my transition. I wasn't like, you know, dying and stuff like that. So I think presentation was a big part of that also too.
Mm-hmm. But what was your stage weight at the Olympia?
I think I was about 265 at prejudging and probably about like high 250s at the finals. Maybe like 257, 258 at the finals.
Uh-huh. So did you spend a lot of time actually working on your posing? Is that something
Yeah.
you constantly?
Yeah, definitely. You know, I actually went out to Bev Francis and posed with Steve. I think it was like 2 weeks and maybe like a week out from the Olympia, and just getting his criticism and having him take a look at me posing and stuff like that helped me a lot. And then going to Olympia, I used what he actually like, told me I should work on. Went to the Olympia and practice, and that helped me a lot going into the Olympia.
What about conditioning? What's the secret to getting the right conditioning for somebody of your size?
Well, for me, just training up my style, training with my coach Oscar Arden, just doing those high repetition and stuff like that helped me a lot with conditioning. Basically, just refining the muscle. I think that's what we worked on a lot, and then also we put a lot more vegetables in my diet also too. A lot of greens, a lot more spinach, more asparagus and stuff like that.
And what do you think? What do you think that did? What do you think the vegetables did?
I wasn't retaining a lot of water like I usually do. My digestion and everything was better. So I was able to eat a lot more food and stay a lot more healthy and stuff like that. So I think that played a part in it too.
What about cardio? Did you do a lot of cardio?
I mean, I've always been a guy to do like about 2 hours of cardio, so that really didn't change that much.
You said 2 hours of cardio?
Yeah.
Daily?
Yeah.
Wow, that's interesting. What kind of cardio do you do? Is it?
And I have a whole arsenal, man. But my main thing is the stepper. I like the stepper. The stairs stepper. I love that. That's like my go-to for cardio.
Yeah, that's the most difficult one.
Yeah.
That's crazy. So, all right. So when it comes to this Olympia specifically, right? So
Mm-hmm.
you improve the obviously the posing,
Mm-hmm.
you improve the conditioning, right?
Mm-hmm.
What was your typical day like training? As far as lifting, were you going for heavy, long, and less repetitions, more repetitions, lighter weight? Like, can you break that down?
It was a combination of heavy and more repetitions. So my day consists of getting up doing the cardio, then coming all the way to Queens to train with my coach at his private gym. And once we get there, we do a lot of high rep stuff, but we also like keep the weights pretty heavy too. So we'll do giant sets of 30, some sets of 15, 20.
Sets of 30?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So it's definitely different, man. It's a lot of intensity. To the point sometimes you feel like you can't even walk out of the gym.
And how many reps per set?
Well, per set we do like about 4 sets and like 30, sometimes 20 reps per set.
So that's like crazy. That's like wow, that's intense, man.
Yeah, you kind of take it back to like the old school Dorian Yates type style of training.
Wow, because you like lift very heavily, man. I remember
Yeah.
you were able to squat like 900 pounds, right? 800 pounds you were squatting.
Yeah, yeah. So that's how I used to train before. I used to, I looked at a lot of Ronnie Coleman's videos and try to emulate what I saw from Ronnie and do the low reps type stuff. But at the end of the day, you got to remember you're a bodybuilder, and training like that is more like a powerlifting style. You're going to get strong and you're going to be really strong, but at the same time, you're not going to have that refinement to the muscle.
So do you think higher reps basically allows you to get in better condition?
Yeah, I think so. Definitely. Yeah. Gives muscle a different look.
Right. So that's interesting because that's a lot of kind of debate going on, right? What's it better to do? Some lower amount of reps.
I think high reps, gives the muscle, you definitely get more separation with the muscle,
Uh-huh. But do you have to go lighter in weight though? Because 30 reps is a lot.
Yeah, you definitely would have to go lighter, but not using like super lightweight, if we were on the leg press, we would still do like 1,000 pounds for like 30 reps, It's not like we're going out to like 500 pounds and doing reps of that, You still want to challenge the muscle,
No, of course. So what is the heaviest lift you ever done in your life? I know you did 900 was your highest squat, right? 900.
Yeah. But I think that's the highest I ever did. I never did anything past that. I think as a bodybuilder, going anything past that, you try to look for injury.
What about bench? What was your heaviest bench ever?
I think the most I ever bench was maybe about 550. Yeah. My bench wasn't that great, For as far as my squats and deadlift, my bench was okay. I should have been pushing like 600, but 550 was the most I ever did.
And what was your deadlift?
I think it was around 820 or something like that.
Wow. How do you? Let's talk about the squat, right? To reach a squat, like when you go from like when you start, right, and to reach 900, like how do you build confidence to go heavy and heavy and heavy? You know what I'm saying? Like how do you get to that point, man?
That's a funny story, man. Because now the fact that I don't train like that anymore, I'm seeing guys going on to 800-900 pounds, and I'm looking at them like they're crazy. But back in the days, I would went on that so comfortable, like I had no fear, I think it just come very naturally to me, Like I remember times I would like do pause rep with like 650, 700 pounds and stay down there and then push it back up, and it was so comfortable, So it's just some confidence that I just build up from training over the years, I never had a fear of going on the heavy weight because I always knew my form was really good. I was very focused, very tight, and very stable with that kind of weight. The confidence was always there.
Did you ever have like an accident where you were trying to get it up or you can't?
Oh yeah, definitely, man. I had like the last time when I went under like 900 pounds, I had a crazy accident. The spot, but it wasn't my fault, the spotter. I thought he racked it back as he was helping me put it back, so he kind of like let go, and I thought it was in the rack, and I let it go, and it came straight down almost. So I think after that, I kind of started getting a little bit nervous about doing that kind of weight. But I've had countless times where I had to drop the weights and stuff like that,
Yeah. So it affected your confidence lifting, that accident?
Yeah, that accident definitely kind of like give me a reality check. Because that thing crushed me, man. Almost 900 pounds almost crushed me, man. I had to go because I put my hands on the inside of the plate. So when I drop it, the only reason I didn't get crushed is because my hands was able to hold it up. I safety's at the bottom, so my hands was able to hold it up. But I actually had to go to the emergency room to check my wrist and stuff like that to make sure I didn't break any bones and stuff like that.
Oh man, that's crazy.
Yeah.
That's crazy. Have you ever had any serious, outside of this one, have you ever had any serious injuries?
Nah, nothing really crazy. I have had a few shoulder injuries and stuff like that. Shoulder issues, but nothing crazy till like it stopped me from lifting and stuff like that. Yeah.
That's good. So, what was your diet like usually prepping for the competition? And is dieting difficult for you generally? Because you're such a big guy, you know what I'm saying? Has that ever been an issue for you?
But in the past, I would have to when I was with my old coach, we would go very, very low carb. And that was hard. Training with Oscar and being coached by Oscar, we realized that my body is not carb sensitive like how, my other coach used to think. I could do carbs. I just have to, sometimes cycle them or sometimes just the type of carb that I put in. Like, I'm very good with like white rice, very good with oatmeal and stuff like that. I'm not good with like stuff like sweet potatoes and stuff like that.
Rice is better for you?
Rice. Huh?
Rice is better for you as a coach?
Yeah, right. We learned that my body loves rice.
How do you learn? How do you learn that? You just kind of look, see how your body responds to it, like the next day.
Yeah. So sometimes, for anybody out there that's trying to diet, like you'll notice like different type of bloating and stuff like that. If you're getting eating the carb and you getting constantly getting bloated from it, maybe you should try to switch it up and try something different.
You know, I heard somebody saying that I heard a few people saying that like they do like a test, like a blood test, and they determine that you might be allergic to certain. Your body like responds like with allergens to certain things.
Yeah, yeah. I've heard people going to the doctors and getting blood, seeing what they're allergic to and whatnot. But I'm old school, man. And yeah, I'll pay more attention to my body and see the way it responds. And like I said, if I'm getting bloated for certain things, I would like cut it out and try something different.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. What about things like going keto or like just complete low carb? That's not for you either. Like you shrink up.
I've never done a keto diet. I've gone really, really low. And I think my body definitely will respond to it because once I start going really low carb, I start retaining water for some reason. You know.
Mm-hmm. Interesting. So how many meals do you eat per day, and how many calories do you think you consume like during your prep?
I never really got into the whole counting calorie stuff, but I would, portion out my stuff and I would do it like around beginning of the prep, I would do 6 meals. When I get closer, maybe like 4 weeks out, I cut it down to maybe like 5 and drop the protein and drop the carb intake. So like around 5, 6 meals for prep, like,
Hmm.
prep. So
And what are your favorite supplements to take? Do you take like pre-workout? Do you do that type of stuff?
yeah, definitely, man. I make Muscle Meds have this product right now called Nitro Test. It's workout. That's what I'm using right now. It's really good. It don't give you any jitters and stuff like that, and it helps you get through your workout. It gives you that focus to just get through your workout. So I'm a big fan of pre-workout. I'm a big fan of taking a after workout protein shake, and also glutamine amino acid. Definitely staples for me while I'm training.
Mm. Do you take any fat burners? Do you like those type of supplements?
Not as much. Yeah, I would take it if I absolutely have to, especially like if the one has some caffeine and stuff like that in it to get through the cardio and stuff like that. But I'm not really a big person. I'm big on fat burners like that.
Hmm. Hmm. So do you think you found your formula this year? Formula is going to work. Well, last year I would say, but formula is going to work this year. Do you feel like you've kind of discovered something here that's going to work for you?
Uh, Definitely. I think we've been making strides since 2008, 2018. I've been learning my body a lot more. And I think back to back from the Arnold, from this Olympia, from even 2019. I've really figured out what works for my body and what don't work for my body in terms of what type of cardio I need to do, the type of food I need to eat, and also the type of training style I need to do to get me in that winning circle.
But I feel like definitely people. I'm not. I don't want to say for the first time, but definitely like this is the year that 2020 or rather last year was when people really saw you as a threat, and more importantly, they see you as being a threat in the future. You know what I mean? Because you have the
Yeah.
size, and
Hmm.
the frame. You know what I'm saying?
Hmm.
To really go against the top guy.
I think so too. I mean, a lot of people always say, I get that all the time in my DMs and stuff like that. I'm one of the most underrated bodybuilders out there. People never like really take the time out to appreciate my physique or like, for some reason I always fly under the radar until the day of the show and they see me and they're like, holy shit, this guy's actually really good.
Yeah, yeah. Well, so you felt like you might have gotten third place at the Olympia, but how do you feel about the actual placings? That how do you feel about Ramy winning? How do you feel about Phil's comeback? How do you feel about Brandon? How did you feel about the top five?
I mean, everybody, I was really happy to see Phil up there. I felt after like 2 years off and coming back, he did a phenomenal job. You know, Not many people take 2 years off from competing and come back and look the way he did. I wasn't even sure if he was training like that anymore. Ramy definitely. He's always had the crazy size. He brought in a condition that was really good to give him that win. Brandon looked phenomenal too. I ain't taking nothing away from Brandon. It's really close between him and Ramy. He looked amazing. Hadi Chupa, and he's a really good competitor. Really tough to beat. Bonac again. amazing. I said like this Olympia, being like the situation that we had in terms of the coronavirus and everything like that. These guys, man, everybody really brought a phenomenal package. I was really impressed. I wasn't expecting everybody to bring the A game like that. I was hoping on my end that some of these guys was going to come in a little off, and I would have caught them slipping and everything like that. But now, man, the top guys, they brought it, man.
Yeah. So when you showed up, backstage at the pump up room, did you already kind of like see who's going to be in that top five? Do you pay attention to things like that?
Yeah, well, I mean, of course. I mean, at backstage, nobody was talking to each other. But after the show, we all started talking and everything like. But I'm pretty much one of the last guys to like peel off, and I always sit there and taking everything and see who's on and who's not, and like just get my confidence up. But I mean, seeing everybody pumping up, you never know until like you get under those lights, man. Because backstage, everybody looked phenomenal. But once you get on that stage, and then you start seeing, okay, this person looked good, this person didn't,
So, big. Obviously, you are probably the most improved, I would say, this in a 2020 Olympia, but Big Ramy as well. He went from, I forgot what place it was the year before, but he won obviously, right? So he definitely deserves that.
I think he was in my spot in 2018 or 2019. He was in my spot,
and then he won, which is incredible, of course. How do you feel about his physique? And how do you feel about? Obviously, you want to win. You should feel like you're number 100%, right?
Mm-hmm.
But objectively speaking, how do you feel about his physique, and how do you feel about his reign as Mr. Olympia? Do you feel like it's going to be something spectacular, like Ronnie Coleman, like Phil Heath, that type of dynasty?
I mean, he definitely, as far as the size, and I guess he found a formula to come in top shape now. So I don't know. I can't say that he'll be like a Ronnie Coleman type, because Ronnie was definitely ahead of his prime, ahead of his time. Ramy, I just hope that he continue bringing it, but it's a competition, and I'm waiting for him not to bring it. But let's just say that if he comes in off, there's a lot of hungry guys out there ready to take his title.
Yeah, it's interesting. When because Phil dominated pretty much from 2011, right, to 2018, right?
Mm-hmm.
He had 18 when he lost, but 17, right? He had a 7-year span there, and it was like for many years, like people showed up, but it was just like it was almost like who's going to be in second. You know what I mean? Kind of like for the most part, that's how people talk behind the scenes, right?
Yeah.
But I feel like in the last 3 years, there's been like a lot of rotations going on.
Yeah, I mean, the Olympia has changed hands since after Phil lost, to Sean. Sean didn't really get a chance to defend his title, so I can't really take anything away from him. He never got a chance to defend the title. Brandon won it, and now Big Ramy won it. I'll just say, man, at the end of the day, if anybody's off, anybody could get beaten. I know Ramy is not that he won and he got a taste of success. He's going to do everything to retain that title. But there's a lot of hungry guys out there, like patiently waiting for him to like just slip up one bit and get a chance to win that title. So I'm one of them, and I'm happy for Ramy. I'm really proud of him. He's been going at it since 2013 to win that title, and he finally did it. I just hope that in my future that I would be able to call myself Mr. Olympia one day.
Well, that'd be amazing for sure. Now, your coach, Oscar, right? You mentioned. How long have you been working with him? 2 years now?
Yeah, 2 years now, yeah.
Okay, so what was the right formula between you two? Why did you pick him? I don't know who you trained with before, but why suddenly with him? What was the right fit? And what's the right advice to getting the coach that you know what I mean?
To me, some people like, training or having a coach that does like, online training and, you give them a diet and give them a training protocol and they follow it. For me, especially at the level that I am right now, I'd rather have a coach that's basically more hands-on, somebody that could basically be in the gym with me, training with me, that see my physique on the daily, know which body parts I need to improve and stuff like that. So I finally had Oscar because I used to do, online coaching and stuff like that. My old coach, we did everything online, and just having the physical presence of a coach in the gym with you, it makes a huge difference to me.
Mm. I would say majority of the guys do it online, like you mentioned.
Yeah.
You send in the pictures on the phone, right? And some
Yeah.
tells them what to do.
Yeah.
That's how I used to do it.
Yeah.
So, Oscar, who did he train before you?
He trained Kai. Kai was one of his biggest clients. Kai got a couple wins with him. I think both of Kai's on a classic win was in Oscar. He did a few Olympias with Kai also. He also trained oh God, I'm trying to remember his name. He'll come back to me in a second. He's Jamaican. Can't remember his name for the love of me.
That's cool. So he has credibility for sure.
Yeah, yeah.
Nice. What do you guys? Do you guys have like a private facility where you train at, or you go to?
Yeah, we have a little private gym that we train at. It's not anything big. It's a basement gym, no mirrors, but it gets the job done. No distraction.
So you just went through COVID, right? You had COVID recently. You went through it, and there's been a lot of kind of like, in the bodybuilding fitness community, everybody's, some states the gyms are open. They're closed still due to COVID, right? Pandemic.
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of people are trying to rebel against that, keeping the gyms open against the orders from the state. Do you think the gyms should be open, or do you think they should be closed? Or how do you feel about it? You being a bodybuilder and also somebody who had COVID, it's a real thing, a real threat. Like, how do you feel about it?
I definitely think they should be open, man. One of the reasons why COVID didn't hit me as hard is because I train, top shape and everything like that. If I was, was out of shape or, was fat or anything like that, I'm sure I had a totally different impact on me. I think one of the reasons why I was able to get over it so fast is because I was in shape and, my lungs and everything is very healthy, So I definitely think the gym should be open. If you they set some protocols and stuff like that, and they follow the protocols, and they just make sure they clean the gyms and stuff like that, I don't see why not. Why should it be closed?
No, that's a good point. Yeah, in California, from what I understand, it's still closed.
Yeah,
some other states too, but some are opening up, closing down. It just depends on the kind of like the state. But yeah, I would say I agree with you on that point. But the gyms have to take responsibility for really providing, the cleaning, cleaning it and just make sure it's working to a certain degree, like maybe 50% capacity or something like that.
Yeah, and not to mention, man. I mean, in this time, we really don't have anything to do. People don't have bars and all this other stuff to go to. You need an outlet, man. You can't just be sitting at home watching Netflix all day, man.
So, how did you feel about the 212 Olympia in 2020?
I was really happy for Sean Clarita, man. Me and him actually, we came up together. Came into the sport at the same time. We were actually sponsored by Natural Vitamins at the same time. So, me and him, we go way back. So I was really happy to see him win the Miss Olympia, the 212 Miss Olympia.
Yeah, for sure. He's a hard worker too, man.
Yeah, he trains hard. Very strong guy, man. And he's very, I can say, self-motivated. He does everything himself. He's training and everything like that. So I take my hat off to him for winning the 212 Miss Olympia.
Can you tell me which bodybuilders inspired you? Getting into the sport. Which guys did you look up to, and why?
I mean, I've always I'm a huge Dexter Jackson fan. I've always was and always will be. Just seeing his work ethic and what he has accomplished. I don't think any other bodybuilder in the sport has accomplished what Dexter has accomplished. Pretty much you could say he won a title in every single show. That's really hard to say, man. And then also doing it at the age that he was doing it, and still being great, still placing top 10 in the Olympia at age 51, man. Come on, man. There's never going to be another Dexter Jackson. Just like many people say there is never going to be another Ronnie Coleman. I don't think there'll ever be another Dexter Jackson.
Yeah, I agree with you. He gets pretty much everybody's respect when it comes to the when it comes to the sport. You know what I mean? So. Is it like what other styles of bodybuilding did you try to emulate when you were coming up? You know what I mean? Like what other styles or physiques you found appealing besides him?
Well, I've always been a fan of Ronnie Coleman's strength, and that's the one that motivated me to lift the way I lifted. But now that I'm getting older and being in this game for a while, I kind of like switched a little bit towards Dexter Jackson more, having more longevity and staying injury free and everything like that. So I would love my career to go after something like Dexter Jackson, of the fact that he was able to do it at such a old age, still stay healthy and still look, you know, a professional that could compete with anybody at his age.
Yeah. Do you train with the machines mostly or free weights, or is there a difference to you personally?
Well, to me, training in that dungeon, we don't have that much machines down there, so it's all free weights for me. So I keep it old school. Just make sure my form is very strict and not try to push myself like too crazy. And I think if you're able to do that, you're gonna stay injury free.
Do you think it makes a difference whether you use machines or free weights? Do you think it makes a difference actually in the final package, in the final result, when you're going for?
I think so. I think for example, if you have 200-pound dumbbells and you're doing like incline presses or whatever the press is, it's a lot more harder than doing 200 pounds on a machine, because you got to stabilize all that weight with the dumbbells and stuff like that. So I think when you train free weight, you stabilize the muscles more. The muscles got to be stabilized more, and in that process, you probably recruit more muscle fibers. So I'm sure the body would respond a lot better, because you're constantly stabilizing in the weights to do the movement. So I think the body would definitely respond differently than having the weights already stabilized for you and you're just there pushing.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure. What is the secret to in your off season, right? To still, kind of like maintain the mass, muscle mass,
Mm-hmm.
but at the same time not get too fat. You know what I mean? Like, what do you do personally? Somebody who has a big frame. Like, what do you do personally to kind of like stay lean?
I put in a little bit of cardio about 3 or 4 times a week. At least like 20, 30 minutes, 3 or 4 times a week. That way it opens up my appetite, keep my metabolism going. I'm able to, have a little bit cheat meal here and there. So I'm not too strict on my off-season diet and, maintain, a good physique enough that I'm not like overly fat or anything like that.
Hmm. Do you think genetically, if some people have a body type where they just gain fat much easier, do you think it's still possible to be a bodybuilder or be in fitness in general when you have to like work twice as hard as somebody like with better genetics?
I think it's still possible, but like you said, you would definitely have to work twice as hard as somebody who just stay lean year round. You have some guys like I remember Dexter. I had an interview and he said for the beginning of his career he never did any cardio. I wish I could say something coming from like 2 hours of cardio. I wish I could be like, no, I don't need to do any cardio. But like I said, you have to work twice as hard. But it's still possible to, get into bodybuilding and just remember you're gonna have to put on some work.
I also heard that I don't know if it was him or I'm not sure. I don't want to misquote him, but I heard some bodybuilders they don't work out abs at all. They get it through diet. What about you? Do you do abs?
I in the beginning of my my bodybuilding career, I never trained them at all. I would just try to get them through diet. But if you want those, those bricks, those really detailed abs, you definitely have to train them, man.
Have to, right?
You look at one of the things about the physiques from the 90s, early 2000s versus the physiques nowadays, is the fact that those guys back then they had really good abs, and that was attributed to the fact that they actually trained abs back then. A lot of the guys today's bodybuilders, we don't train abs as much, you know.
Hmm. Hmm. That's true. But do you train them now?
Yeah, yeah. That was one of the things I actually really worked on from 2019 into 2020 was really try to get my abs more developed. It's still a work in process, work in progress, but they definitely looked a lot better at this Mr. Olympia than last year's Mr. Olympia.
What is your favorite body part to train? Do you have that? Do you have a favorite day?
It's always been legs because I'm really strong in legs. But lately, I've been trying to get my shoulders up, so it's kind of starting to switch to shoulders now. You know, I mean, the tip is if you really want to improve a body part, try to make it your favorite body part to train. And you'll train it a lot, more intense and everything like that. You put a lot more energy into it, because everybody loves training chest, you know, but when it comes to stuff like hamstrings and stuff like that with calves, most people, they really want to train it.
Yeah, absolutely. So you mentioned the old school bodybuilders, right?
Mhm.
I talked to a lot of the guys from the golden era, like Rich Gaspari and guys from the '90s, like Kevin Levrone, and they all sort of like criticize today's bodybuilders for their conditioning. I'm sure you've heard that before.
Mhm.
They say the conditioning is not the same, the quality of muscle is not the same. Well, first of all, do you agree? And if you do agree, why do you think they think that it declined?
I mean, I don't agree because I've seen photos of some of the guys back then and compared to guys nowadays, and some of the guys nowadays blow them away, you know. And I think that argument is so stupid because they are saying their physique was better than ours. I'm sure if you put it back to the days of Arnold and them would say their physique was better than the guys in the 90s. You know, so it's always going to be that competition. You know, I'm sure when I retire, I'm going to say the same thing about the bodybuilders that's going to be ahead of me. You know, it's an argument. Everybody always think they're the best, even in hip hop or even in basketball. You know, they're always going to be like that argument. You know, I think you should just appreciate a physique for what it is now. You know, and appreciate what is going on right now, and you know, bring more positivity to the sport than just go and keep saying, "Oh, we were better back then." I mean, it's just a whole bunch of negative stuff. I don't agree with it at all.
No, I hear you. I think you actually, it's a good point what you just said.
Mm-hmm.
But I feel like it's always going to be that back and forth. To a certain extent.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, how do you feel about the classic physique? Because that was kind of created out of I guess demand from the people to have more of this, you know, classic looking physiques.
But it's kind of interesting now because the way that open bodybuilding is going right now, you see a lot more like guys that should be in classic doing open bodybuilding. You know, I have never seen so many vacuums in my life in open bodybuilding, and that was something that was created for classic. So I would say open bodybuilding is kind of going in the direction of classic now, man, because you see a lot more smaller waist. You don't see that, you know, that big, you know, stomach and like, you know, so like overly protruding stomach and stuff like that anymore. You see everybody, even guys that are like 260, 270 on stage, they still try to maintain a nice small waist and stuff like that. So, but in terms of classic, man, I think it was a great division. You know, I think it gave a lot of guys career that wouldn't have had a career if there was just only open bodybuilding. You know, guys, you know, guys like Terrence Ruffin, you know, he's doing phenomenal. Who else? I mean, Chris Bumstead, you know, he was able to go in there and just, you know, destroy it. The physique that he brought at this Miss Olympia was insane, you know. So it gave a lot of guys an outlet to, you know, showcase a physique that if there wasn't any classic physique, they wouldn't have been able to do it, you know.
Can you do a vacuum?
Nah, that's what I'm over here hating, man.
But you know, it'd be cool. Like, I don't know if you remember, but like, if you go back and like you look at Olympias from, I guess, from the like 80s or 70s or whatever, they used to do like overall winner when they would bring like the lighter weight and the heavyweight, and they do like a comparison, right? Like between like Arnold and Franco Colombo, that was a comparison. Do you think they should do it now? Maybe like do like a 212 versus the open. That'd be kind of cool.
It would be interesting though, but I don't. It would probably suck if I lost to a classic physique guy.
Yeah, probably.
Because in my head, I'm thinking I got so much muscle and I out muscle him, and he's beating me. So I don't even know how they would be like, you know, how they would judge that. You know.
I guess classic would be out of it. It'd be a 212 versus the open.
Yeah, maybe that would probably make more sense. They have to pull off a vacuum, you know.
Yeah. Akim, man, thank you so much for your time.
No problem.
It's been fun catching up with you, man, and let's do it again soon.
Of course. Thank you so much.
Thank you, man. Be safe.